Hello and welcome back to Training Tuesday. God, what day is today? Is it the 10th? Yeah, the 10th. Man, it is happening fast around here. The decade's almost over. This is part 2 of what I think is going to be a 3-part series in the Training Tuesday lineup. Gosh, it feels like it's a few weeks ago now, maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, because I was out. We did part 1, and it began to answer the question, why did we build Ontraport the way we did, and why is it the best tool to collect, organize, and then use your data to be more effective with your marketing and to grow your business. And the answer to that, we'll review it here. We'll review that part 1, but it's worth a watch, I think. You should take a look at that. It is, how long was that video? Maybe 45 minutes, 30 minutes, something like that. I can't remember. I'll link it in the comments down below so you can get to that sucker and watch that. But we'll do a quick review of what we talked about there. Today in part 2, we're going to talk about how to get the data that you need to segment your contacts. And then in part 3, probably, I'm going to say it might be a few weeks because we've got some feature releases that I'm going to want to demo over the next couple of weeks. And then we've got the holidays. So part 3 might be January. But then we'll talk about how to use the segmentation data that you've got to turn around and deliver the kind of relevant experiences and communications that you need to be delivering in order to be effective in today's competitive marketing landscape, which is the bottom line of why we're here. So I threw together, this is Training Tuesday. This is quick and dirty. If I had to send all this through marketing and practice, it would never get done. So this is white. There's not even a logo on our slides. You're going to have to deal with it. So here it is, how to segment your contacts for more effective follow-up. First, we're going to do a quick review of the part 1. And the point of part 1 was to say, look, why are you an Ontraport customer and not a MailChimp customer, or a customer that has a bunch of different tools in different platforms, a bunch of different point solutions. Well, a lot of reasons that I hear, one platform, you have one team to support you. That's really nice. Well, all your tools in one tool suite is nice. One source of data, though, is really nice. That starts to get to be very helpful in your actual day-to-day lives. But really the ability to automate systems throughout your customer life cycle is crucial and something that doesn't happen when you have data and tools all over the place. And the subject of today is the ability to use the data that you've got to deliver relevant messaging and experiences to your customers throughout that life cycle is an absolute game changer. It's crucial to be able to personalize the experiences and communications that you're delivering to the marketplace, because why? It's how you make the market pay attention. People are only interested in what they're interested in, right? They're interested in their own problems. They're interested in what they care about, not what you care to sell them. And your ability to figure out what it is that the market is interested in, what their problems are, what they're scared about, what they need to solve right now, and then to communicate to them very specifically why you and your company are the best options for solving that problem is the crucial element to competing in a marketing landscape that is more and more competitive every day. So if you're talking about stuff people aren't interested in, you're dead. People ignore almost everything that they see online. They're on their phones constantly, but they're ignoring 99% of it, and that includes your messages if you're not hammering home exactly why they should be paying attention to you, how you're going to solve their problems right now. So it's up to you to figure out how to cut through the mass of messaging that we all are inundated with. And how you do that is by figuring out what their problems are and talking to them about their problems and convincing them that you're the right solution. So that's what we talked about in more detail, of course, in the first part. And today we promised that we would talk about, well, how do you get the data? It's one thing to capture a bunch of, to have all your tools in one platform so that you can store all your data, but how do you actually get the data that you need so that you can then segment and begin to personalize those experiences? So what do I mean, first of all, by data? I mean all the information that is stored in Ontraport. It's one of the key advantages that you have as an Ontraport user is that you can store, and we automatically store much more data about every prospect and customer than you will get using any suite of, any other suite of tools or kludge together of point solutions. This is a far better solution. It's why there's no enterprise company in the world that runs their business with a kludge of 47 point solutions. It doesn't work. You have a platform. Yes, there may be integrated tools, but all the data ends up in one centralized platform, often Salesforce or something like that if you're an enterprise, and Ontraport if you're not an enterprise. Okay, so what do I mean? I mean inbound emails, inbound SMSs, inbound phone calls, the data that we have about what they've purchased before, what they didn't like and refunded, information that you import maybe, information that you get from the customers and prospects themselves from forms, right? They fill out information, they tell you stuff about them. In-app, what are your salespeople typing into the app? What are they saying happened in their conversations, in the tasks that they completed? Of course, all the tracking that we do, what pages are they visiting, what emails are they opening and clicking, where did they come from, what ads did they click on? That is the UTM data that we automatically capture for you. So lots of information pouring into each individual contact record in Ontraport. And then it becomes, unfortunately, your job to figure out how to organize that information. First, how to get the right information, and then how to organize it in a way that is going to be effective, right? So where do I start with this project? Well, first of all, you need to decide what data to use to segment your audience, right? We've heard and maybe read a lot about segmentation and the need to, figure out who your avatars are and maybe, create personas or get demographic information and target by this or that. A lot of times we'll hear about, geolocation or targeting by gender or socioeconomic statuses or their age or personas, all this stuff. I'm gonna simplify this for you and tell you that none of that stuff is where you start, and maybe you don't ever get there. And here's why. There are much more effective ways to segment your folks. That's not to say that none of this is going to be effective, but there are a couple of much more effective ways to slice and dice your list. And if you focus on those ways, you will create positive results in your business, in your marketing. And if you then kind of optimize the hell out of your entire business and communicate with every one of these other segments that I'm going to share with you in a second, maybe one day you can come back and start, slicing things again by gender, by persona, by these other sort of demographic segments. But the reality is that if you have a clogged toilet, it doesn't matter what gender you are or what socioeconomic status you are or what your age is. You just need your toilet fixed, right? So for most of us, almost all the time, you can ignore this stuff, and we're going to focus on two other things. The first and most important one, hands down, is target based on the problem that your prospects are trying to solve. Hands down, this is where to start. 80% of your results are going to come by segmenting based on the specific problem that folks want to solve. Why? Because it's the only thing they give a damn about. Again, if you're a chiropractor, the fact that you're a chiropractor doesn't excite me. The fact that you do, 47 different things and can solve all sorts of problems doesn't excite me. If I've got a migraine headache and you tell me that this is a non-invasive, no drugs, painless, instant way of solving my migraine, that excites me, right? And if I'm someone with lower back pain, I don't give a crap about your migraine solution. I care about not having, disc surgery or whatever, right? So you want to be speaking to people about the specific problem you solve. What that means is that we've got to figure out what problem each prospect has, and then it means we've got to begin to have communications that are designed to address each problem, and then send the right communication to the right prospect, right? So this is where we're going with all this. So a couple of things that you may be thinking, well, wait a minute, I only solved one problem. That might be true, but is rare. It's pretty rare that we only solve one problem. Now look, you might be a dog walker, and you might think, well, I walk dogs. I don't walk cats. I don't train dogs. I don't wash dogs. I just walk dogs. This is a terrible example to come up with because I'm not much of a dog person per se, and I don't really know why people get their dogs walked, but let me just make some stuff up. I suspect that there are several different reasons why people hire a dog walker. As a dog walking professional, you would know the answers to this because you'll have heard this from your market, but maybe you have a particularly active dog and it needs to go out more than you can afford. Maybe you leave your dog at home and the dog doesn't have a place to pee in the house. I don't know how this all works. Maybe there's something about younger dogs versus older dogs. Maybe, look, I just don't know. Maybe you walk multiple dogs at once and they like to play with each other, right? You need to socialize the dogs. I don't know what dogs are into, but I'm going to suggest that there are multiple reasons why people are concerned about getting their dogs out. Maybe they need a cheaper dog walker. Maybe they need a dog walker who will go for longer distances. Maybe they need a dog walker who, is good with aggressive dogs. I have no idea. But this is the kind of way you need to be thinking, slicing your audience up by the problems that they need to solve. Dog walking services for aggressive dogs, that's got to be a thing, right? Like I would assume that not all dog walkers are going to take your little, whatever it is. Okay, so slice your list. Another problem people have. I solve 100 problems. This is our problem, right? At Ontraport, we have, it's not even 100. It's 1,000 problems that we solve. There's so many different audiences and so many different reasons people might come to use a platform as big as this. What do we even say? Well, here's my recommendation based on experience battling with this exact challenge at Ontraport is focus on the top 3 moneymakers. What we've done is that we've sliced our audience into folks that are coming for particular feature sets as their primary need. And we've kind of whittled it down to 9 key feature sets. And then from there, and so we've written a bunch of content about each one of those feature sets. And then from there, we've actually figured out over time that we do best with advertising with 5 of the 9 feature sets. And so we actually focus on the top 5. But top 3 is good. Here's the thing to be aware of is that every time you slice your audience into 2 segments, you double your workload. in terms of managing the experience and the communication that you're going to deliver, right? Because it doesn't do you any good to segment your audience and then say the same thing to both of them, right? You need to be saying one thing to one and another thing to another. And so if you end up with like 14 different ways you're going to communicate with your audience, you have created for yourself a project that you're likely to never get done. I know that because we have 5 or 9 different ways, and it's taken a big team a long time to get that project done. And then it becomes really hard to keep up with it, right? Because it's a lot of content that needs to get upgraded as updated and improved. Shoot, we changed our logo in, was it March of this year, something like that? And we're still upgrading emails from the old logo. Yeah. So it becomes a problem. So segmentation is important, but you got to balance it with the reality of the workload that you're going to create for yourself. So focus on the top few moneymakers. Okay, maybe you already do this. If so, you're awesome and you're ahead of the game. That will lead us to the other way, the next way, not just another random way, but first figure out how to target by problem. The second way, if you've already optimized your communication by problem, the second way to start thinking about things is then segmenting them by their stage, each individual prospect stage in your customer lifecycle. Okay, what do I mean by that? Why? Why? Because we don't want to waste our effort and the attention of our audience by asking them to do something that they've already done or something that they're not going to do yet, right? What do I mean? Well, here's an example. I got this ad from Zendesk the other day, which is, a sponsored paid ad. Zendesk paid to put this in front of me. And that's really dumb because I've been a customer of Zendesk for like a decade. And they definitely have everything it takes to know that. They can pixel my browser every time I log into Zendesk, which is all the time. There's no way that they don't know that I'm a customer of Zendesk, right? They can identify me very easily. You can do the same. And so look, my attention is a precious commodity. They're spending money to get in front of me, and they're wasting it by trying to get me to do something that is just totally irrelevant to me, right? You guys all know that you guys have this experience, right? Interestingly, I just was in New York last week with my kids, and one of my kids wanted a pair of Doc Martens, and so we went to the Doc Martens store, and she bought a pair of Doc Martens, and then boom, I guess there's Google is now doing geolocation, and like if you visit a store, they can pixel you or something like that. But for sure, that's happening because she just had never seen a Doc Marten ad ever before in her life, and suddenly it's Doc Marten ads all over everything that she looks at. She kept showing me all week. There's another Doc. It's so weird. But come on. Look, it may be relatively inexpensive to retarget an existing customer, but if you're going to do it, don't tell them to come. They just bought a shoe. Maybe they don't know if you bought. I suppose that could be reasonable because they can't tell as easily as Zendesk. But I'm feeling like if they tagged you from being in a store, maybe they assume that you bought the shoe. Maybe they should be selling you shoe polish or some limited edition shoes or something. I don't know. But it seems like the next phase in the life cycle is what they should be targeting. So that's what I want to talk about here. So you got to understand your life cycle. We've talked about that in other formats. Talked about that at Palooza this year. If you don't have your life cycle organized in, written down, to you don't really understand, that there's at Ontraport, the sort of generic one we talk about is attract, convert, fulfill, what is it? Delight, fulfill and refer. Okay, yeah. Attract, convert, fulfill, refer. No, there's one more. Okay, attract, is that one? Yeah, attract, Yeah, okay, that's it. Attract, convert, fulfill, delight, revert. Okay, so that's the 5, but that's generic, right? You can use those, but in our own kind of customer life cycle, we are capturing leads, we are getting them to convert into demos or free trials, then we're getting those free trials to convert to paid, and then we're getting those paid people across getting them up and running so they're actually using the software, and then we're getting them to refer. So it's very similar, but there's a couple extra stages in there. You need to understand what the process is that you're pushing people through, and then at every stage you need to understand where every prospect is, what stage they're in, and you need to be communicating with them relevantly according to their stage. You need to be encouraging them and giving them a reason why they should take the next appropriate action and move to the next stage in their relationship with you. That is the goal of your business, is to move people through your customer lifecycle, right? And move more of them through faster and more efficiently, right? To have more people get to the end, more people go into the beginning, and then have it all happen faster. The better you can do those 3 things, the better your business is, period. So from visitor, you're encouraging the opt-in. Once they've opted in, you're maybe encouraging a trial. Once they've got a trial, you're encouraging the purchase. Once they've got a purchase, you're encouraging a second purchase, or maybe an implementation or usage. In our case, we track how they're using it. And then once they've done that or they're using it, you want to get them telling their friends, right? So here is the communication of the day. If you never segment and target to anything other than problems and life cycle stages, you will be light years ahead of just about everyone, even Zendesk, right? Just about everyone, including almost every enterprise company. You'll be ahead of the competition that you're dealing with on the social media ad platforms. It is you don't need to bother with things like gender and personas as much. You need to focus on addressing problems and explaining why you're the best solution. And you need to be encouraging folks to take the next step in their customer lifecycle with your business. That has got to be your primary 1 and 2 goal in terms of what to do with all the data that you are collecting in Ontraport. Okay, so with all that said, how do we get the data? It's really simple. It's really simple. You don't need to make this any more challenging than it actually is. So if we're targeting by problem, the first thing to do is to create a custom field in your account where you can record what problems they have. I suggest that you would make that a multi-select field, and that's a field type. So if you go into your field editor, in contacts, you create a new field, select this field type. It says list selection here, name it problem or problem they have, and then just add the various problems that your audience might have. They might have a problem with cats, they might have a problem with Valentine's Day, they might have other problems. You never know, right? Headaches, lower back pain, whatever. So that's what I would do. Pretty simple. So you're just creating a place where you can store the problems they have. Next step. You just got to think through a little bit all the different places that you could figure out, all the different places that you could figure out what problem they have. So, and we're sometimes asking them directly, sometimes inferring based on their behavior. So this is an inference. For example, if we notice that they visit a particular page, or in this case, you can see here I've got a folder of pages, and by folder I mean this is a folder on my domain, and that asterisk means any page that's in that folder. You can say, and we do this at Ontraport, right? We have our pages all kind of organized this way, and we know that if you start visiting stuff about memberships, we suspect that you're interested in memberships, right? then we'll tag you and follow up with you in a relevant way based on that eventually. So how do you do it? You first organize your website so that you can, that you have pages that are about the various problems you solve. That's important, right? To make the argument on your website. And then create a campaign in Ontraport that uses this trigger, web pages visited, put the page or pages or folder of pages in the trigger, and then just tag them using that multi-select field with the interest based on the page they visit. It's that simple. Next, if they click a particular link, so maybe you have some links on your website, or you send them an email that says, hey, do you have headaches or back pain? Let me know. Click here. Headaches, back pain, 2 images. Click headache. We can infer that since they just clicked a link that said headache, that they have a headache, right? So again, it's a campaign. These can all be done in the same campaign if you want. Trigger that says clicks tracked link. And ignore this join webinar part. It would be something like has headache. And then boom, just add a tag, the problem field from the problem field that you created about them having a headache. Next, obviously, if they purchase one of your products that has to do with headaches, then you can assume that that's a problem that they struggle with. And so for sure, if they've purchased 42 cats in the past, they're interested in cats. Again, create a trigger and update that field. Stuff that your sales reps may learn in their conversations with your prospects is obviously crucial. That's the best. If you can get somebody live on the phone and say, hey, what's your problem? And they say headaches or cats. Your sales rep needs to be recording that information in your CRM so that you or your marketing team can then be following up in a relevant way. Also so that your sales rep can follow up and not ask the same question next time, right? So how do we do that? A great way to do it is to task your rep after a phone call to say what happened on this call. And there's, you can actually, this is a form on completion. So when they complete a task, you can add a form into that task completion screen. We call that, I think we call it forms on completion or something like that, or forms on task completion. You can look it up in the docs. It'll be in the tasks section of our knowledge base, how to do this. But yeah, you can just throw in the question. You can actually just put in your what is the problem? This is that problem field that I talked about before, right? We just popped it right in. So when your reps complete a task at the end of a call, the system asks them, when do you want to follow up? And you want to drop any notes in here. Also, what is the problem that they have? And they can just add those suckers and complete the task. Then you've got that information. SMS replies, another way that you can capture data. You can send a text or you can stand up on stage and say, you know what, if you've got a headache or wrestle with headaches, text me headache at this number right now. And I'll send you some information about how to quickly take care of your headaches. And then you can use a trigger that looks like this. So the trigger is SMS received from contact. And then you put a condition in there and it just says, it asks, does the SMS text that you receive contain headache or cats or whatever? And if so, then boom, down that path. And again, you would just tag them with the headache field. Also UTM variables. So this is certainly something you want to be doing if you are paying for ads. Look, don't just run ads. The whole point of this is not to run ads that say, I'm a chiropractor. What you want to run are ads that say, got a headache? Want to stop taking drugs about it? I've got a solution, right? And if they click on that ad versus the other ad that says, got lower back pain, don't want to have back surgery, I've got a solution, right? You want to be able to record the fact that they clicked on this ad versus that ad and definitely talk to the right person about headaches and the right person about back pain instead of then talking to them about why you got into chiropractics. So how you do that is using UTM variables. You will definitely, absolutely must be using UTM variables if you are paying for ads. We have lots of articles and stuff about how to do that. And also just Google it. This is not Ontraport technology. This is the technology that's used all over the internet. If you are paying for ads, you've got to have UTM variables on your URLs. And Ontraport will automatically capture those variables and plop them into the contact record for you. And then you would create, again, a campaign to automate this process of noticing when a UTM field is updated and what it's updated to. If it happens to be updated to Valentine's Day, then you would mark them as being interested in Valentine's Day versus headaches versus back pain, right? So that's how you would handle that one. Okay, so obviously, I mean, this is very simple to do in terms of throwing a campaign together and tagging everybody based on their behaviors, right? Of course, I don't know why I didn't put it on here, but shoot, if you could also just drop a form onto your website if they're visiting your website and you have a contact form or something like that, or they download an ebook about headaches, clearly you need to be tagging them with the proper problems. And if it's a contact form, you can ask them right on there, what problem do you have? Throw the same field right on the form. Let them pick their own problems. And when that happens, again, field is updated, contains backache, add the backache tag. I'm sorry, actually you wouldn't even need it. In that case, you've updated it directly, so never mind. All right, hopefully you get what I'm saying here. If this isn't clear for some reason, let's talk about it in the comments. But this is pretty straightforward. Using the data you've got, writing a rule in campaigns, basically, which is a trigger. If this happens, then do this. Process in a campaign, and update that information. Okay, and that's it. So obviously, you do need to begin to strategize about your content, right? Capturing the data is easy. Making sure you mark each contact is easy. This is what Ontraport is all about. But you do need to, write those 2 ads. And you need to write those 2 web pages, one about headaches and one about back pain. You need to write the 2 ebooks, one about headaches and one about back pain. You need to, create, maybe various intro products. Maybe, you get what maybe it's an email for people who just got added to your site and you don't know, or added to your list rather, and you don't know what their problems are. Maybe there's an email series that goes out that asks them specifically, here, click on the biggest problem that we could help you with today, with 4 different links, and you track those links. Headaches, back pain, right? Neck pain, whatever it is, shoulder pain. Okay. And then you track those links. So you got to strategize a little bit about the content that you write, because the content should be designed to help you figure out what people are struggling with so that you can then turn around and communicate with them relevantly. All right, so that's how you get the data if you're targeting problems. It's that simple. It's no more complicated than that. If that seems complicated, ask where you got confused. We'll straighten it out, but it's not terribly complicated. Next, if you've got that nailed down, then move on to focusing on the customer lifecycle stage. You know what? You could do them in either order. If you think this is more important, that's cool too. First of all, make sure you've got your nice funnel set up. This is card view in Ontraport. You don't have to do it in the deals object. You can do it in contacts if deals don't make sense for you. But if you don't know how card view works, definitely worth a little bit of research. It takes a few minutes to kind of understand what card view is all about. But basically, you will create and you need to be doing this if you are an Ontraport user and you don't have a field in the contact record that's a drop-down field that has the various stages of your customer lifecycle: new prospect, qualified lead, demo schedule, consideration. That's what's on the screen here. For you, it might be, whatever it is: attract, convert, fulfill, whatever those stages are that you move people through. If you're a dog walker, it's like, attract them to my website, convert them to an inquiry, get them to take a free trial of a walk, get them to sign up for a month of walking, get them to sign up for a year's agreement, get them to refer a friend, right? That might be the process. I don't know about your business, but you need to know. And then you should create a drop-down field in the contact record that has each one of those stages, and then you want to get everybody organized according to where they're at in the process. Okay, so get this kind of organized, and then you use that field as the columns in card view here. So that's what we're showing here. So first you make sure you got a nice funnel set up, and then the stages are those columns rather are the values of your stage field, this field that we just created. So that's how that works. Again, if this is not clear, let's talk about it, because you need to know how to do this. And then you want to automate the process of moving people from stage to stage when they take the action that delineates each stage, right? So what do I mean? I mean, the first stage is, for most of us, is they visit my website, and then so they're a visitor. We don't have a stage for that because those are anonymous visitors, right? We don't know who they are, so they're not on our list yet. They're not in Ontraport. And the first stage then is to convert them from a visitor to an opt-in, to get them on the list, right? So what do? We want to make sure that we automatically make each new opt-in put their stage to the appropriate spot. So in this case, we created something called the sales pipeline. And so we've got a trigger that says add contact here when the record is first created. So every new contact. And then we'll update that drop-down field to say new contact, right? They're in our database. Boom. So now they'll show up in the first column that says new contact. Now what's our goal after that? Well, the goal after that is to convert them from a contact to a trial. And you'll have a bunch of stuff you do to get that done. You might make some phone calls. You might write some emails and send those out over a course of time in a campaign. You might send them some doggy biscuits in the mail. Who knows what you might do. But whatever that process is, that's building that is the work of doing your business. And that they have moved from the opt-in stage to the free trial stage when they have set up a free trial, right? And you need to make sure that you record that action in Ontraport. It should probably be a form they fill out that says, hey, I want to take a free trial. Or maybe they schedule the time in some calendaring software, and you pop that, the free trial walk date into Ontraport. You want to have that data in there, and then when that gets updated, right? In this case, we used a trigger called submits form called free trial, but it might be other ways. It might be like, they scheduled a time in my calendar. When that field is updated, boom, change the stage from new contact to free trial. Now you've got people moving over. And why would we do that? Because now we use that field. It's nice to have everybody organized in a visual pipeline display so you can see how your business is doing and how it's likely to do going forward. But B, you can stop trying to get people to take a free trial once they've already done that, right? And follow up on the free trial experience so that you can get them to become an actual paying customer. That's the next logical action for them to take, right? And that's the next thing you want to be pushing. So stop all the conversations about free trials. Stop running ads to them about take a free trial. Stop sending emails to them about take a free trial. Stop phone calling them about free trials, and start running ads and start sending emails and start making phone calls about, hey, it's time to sign up to become a regular customer, right? So we're being relevant with our communication. So what's next? Look, it's just more of the same. When they finally pay the first time, the trigger would be they paid, right? They filled out an order form, or the purchase is updated for the first time, or the dollars spent, whatever it is. And then boom, they're moved to the next phase of the customer life cycle. They're a customer now, right? And what is the next logical step? Well, it depends on your business. Maybe it's I need to get them to sign up for a quarter or a year. And once they've done that, then I'm going to stop talking to them about signing up for a year, and I'm going to start talking to them about telling their friends, because they're obviously a happy customer, right? And so I'm going to be sending them emails. I'm going to be making phone calls. I'm going to be sending them, gifts that they can give their doggy friends, something like that. Whatever the strategy is to get referrals rocking, you will want to be doing that after they've gotten to the right point in the customer lifecycle. This is how you get that done. You want to make sure you're automating the movement of each contact through that process, and then using that information to stop delivering the wrong information and start delivering the right information. Okay, that is how we do it. Next time, we're going to talk a little more about how to use your tools to deliver a higher quality, more relevant experience. So look, we've got the data now. Now we're just going to simply talk about some strategies for taking that data, and the data that I mean is those problems that you've collected, that you know they have, and the stage in the customer life cycle. And we'll just talk about some strategies for how to use that data to create more relevant experiences. Some of us won't even need to have that conversation because it's obvious. Others of us will kind of already know maybe that it can get complicated. What if somebody has 3 different problems? Or what if somebody signs up, I know they have headache problems, but then they sign up for my back pain problem, but I'm already sending them emails about my back pain. I don't want to send them, conflicting, blah, 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 stuff like that, right? What if somebody skips ahead, or they go back, or it can get a little hairy sometimes, and you need to think through how to orchestrate an experience that makes sense. So we'll talk about some of that next time. Like I said, it'll probably be in the new year because we have some features to release in the next couple of weeks, and then we have some holidays to celebrate. So this will probably be the last Training Tuesday for the year. Hopefully this was helpful. Happy holidays. Happy New Year. We'll check you next time. Thanks all.